What's a conspiracy theory that absolutely blows your mind?
Human beings come from Mars. Crazy, I know, but hear me out. Okay, so you guys know how that they're saying that there's water on Mars underneath the surface? So there's a scientific theory that you cannot introduce an element into an environment and sustain that element unless that element was already sustainable there. So what that means is that if water is being naturally restored to Mars, that means that Mars has already had a natural water source. Next part, you know how they said that the redness in Mars has been going away? Yeah, that means that Mars isn't naturally red. Want to know what can cause a planet to turn red and then change after a couple million years? So if enough nukes were to go off on a planet, the first thing that would happen is a nuclear winter. A nuclear winter is the aftermath of nuclear blasts causing ash that is so thick that it blocks out the sunlight in the atmosphere. Nuclear winters can last anywhere between 100 years to 1,000, depending on how much ash is in the atmosphere. After all of the natural resources are drained up from the nuclear winter, the planet turns red from dust. My theory is that we come from Mars after we drained all of its natural resources and destroyed it with nuclear bombs. That is why we are currently trying to leave this planet now and migrate to...
What's a conspiracy theory that
It's a conspiracy theory. Just kidding. There's one I particularly like lately. It's about the cave. There's a cave in South America, among others, but this one is there. A very specific cave. If you find the right people that have navigated this cave before, and only a few people on this planet can, because it's a 15-day foot trip. It's a long walk. 2 weeks. And only with people that know how to navigate it. We know 8% of our oceans. 8. So I can believe that this is true. When you arrive at the other end, there is a city. An entire city completely underground, sealed off by all this cave. And in the city is populated with a civilization that has been on this earth longer than we have. And has survived through the Egyptians, through the giants, through all of those, because it was underground. They don't talk to us much. They don't come up, obviously. Very few people have been down there, but somebody did write a book about it called Lost Horizon. In the book, the city's name was Shangri-La, and he put it on a mountain, but I think it's really underground somewhere. Do you know?
What's a conspiracy theory that absolutely blows your mind?
The moon landing never happened. Number one, as you can see, this is a real image from the moon landing. There are no stars visible in the background, just a blank black background. This is another picture of the moon from NASA, and in the background you see stars. They only told us we couldn't see stars because of the camera after people started questioning that. They never thought to bring that up before we started questioning it. Number two, this was a rock from the moon landing. On the rock there's a letter C with a symbol next to it, which is exactly what you would find on a prop used on movie sets. They said this was Neil Armstrong's footprint on the moon. But from his suit that he used on the same moon landing, look at the boot. It looks nothing like the footprint we just saw. Analyze this boot, now look at this one. How is the flag waving? There's no wind or air in space. Buzz Aldrin, one of the American astronauts on the moon landing, was quoted saying, "It was so well staged." Why'd they do this? The space race. Russia was about to go to the moon before America. America did not want this to happen, so they staged it, went there first.
What's a conspiracy theory that absolutely blows your mind?
The missing 411 conspiracies. Thousands of people go missing in national forest. Some of them are found dead. Some of them are never found again. But the ones who are found always say they don't want to talk about it or they can't remember what happened. Some kids especially do remember, but the stories they tell are really far-fetched and paranormal. So a lot of people just think they're delusional from the trauma. But here's the thing. The people who have been missing for hours upon hours or days upon days, there's even people missing for over a year. When they're found again, they're perfectly fine. They're not scratched up, they're not beaten up, they don't look like they've been starving, they're fine. One thing researchers have found in common is that there's always berries around the area people go missing, and that most people have dogs with them, and that bad weather always follows their disappearance, washing away any kind of footprints that they can track.
What's a conspiracy theory that absolutely blows your mind?
Alright, so they say we've only discovered 5% of the ocean, meaning 95% of the ocean was unexplored, according to them. But if we haven't explored 95% of the ocean, how do they know the percent that we haven't explored? You haven't even been to it to be able to calculate how much we haven't explored. You can't explore 5% of the ocean and say, okay, that was 5%, and there's 95% left, if you don't even know how much there is in total. And they say they haven't explored all the oceans because they don't have technology that's able to sustain the pressure in the ocean. But they have technology that's able to sustain space. Now I know what you're gonna say. Oh, well, yeah, duh, they have technology for space, but that doesn't mean they have to have technology for the ocean. It's basic science. If they wouldn't have explored space, like they supposedly said they did, and they would have blamed it on technology, y'all would have been like, oh yeah, facts, of course they couldn't have gone to space. That's just outrageous. There's no type of technology that'll take us to space. And they're doing the same thing right now with the ocean. I bet you they've explored all the oceans. They know exactly what they found and they know exactly what they saw, which is why they came up with a random percentage.
What's a conspiracy theory that absolutely blows your mind.
Oh, you're gonna love this shit. Okay, so I was at work, right? One of my coworkers, I was telling him about the video on this app where I'm like, yeah, someone thinks that air is like doesn't exist, like breathing is optional, and he was like, that's nuts. I'm like, I know, right? And then he's like, yeah, but like the moon doesn't exist. I said, what the fuck did you just say, Travis? What? And he was like, no, the moon isn't real. I'm like, then what the fuck am I looking at every night? Like, what is it, a flashlight? He's like, no, scientists still don't know. I'm like, yes, they do. Yes, they do, Travis, because it's the fucking moon. And he was like, oh, but I'm like, he's like, calm down, dude. He's like, but I will say this also, I think Earth is a cube. And I said, I don't want to fucking work with you anymore, Travis, I swear to God.
What's a conspiracy theory that absolutely blows your mind?
That they stopped teaching kids cursive so they can no longer read the Declaration of Independence and know their rights. Scary thing is, it's accurate.
What's a conspiracy theory that absolutely blows your mind?
Now this is going to be rich. The biggest conspiracy theory has to be that we really take ourselves to be human. Now hear me out, because this thing is sneaky. What more than an ingenious conspiracy theory than a conspiracy that creates conspiracy theories about everything else? It's the most cosmic scapegoat. It's kind of like saying, what if the government created a fake group and called it the Illuminati, just so that you would be pointing in one direction instead of the other? I mean, the theory itself shows in simple ways. Here's a prime example. So you want to quit smoking, so quit right now. Like right now. Crush that pack. Or stop smoking that USB stick that this mind calls a jewel. I mean, if you're really the mind, then it should be easy. But something else in thought form says no. So find out who that is and get back to me.